Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
B18, working at Dairy Queen. Some old hitchhiker stops into the store at like 5 p.m. and gets a meal and sits down. He has a thick, long beard, sorta like a wizard. Nothing unusual so far. But as the night progresses and he finishes his meal, he continues to sit. He takes out a notebook and starts writing in it. Still nothing really crazy. But as it gets to closing time, he is still sitting there. We start to casually turn off the lights to give him the hint that we are closing. But he doesn't move. He just continues to write. I push a broom by him to see what he is jotting down in his notebook. I look down, and he is writing in symbols. I guess like some type of cryptography. And he never looks away from writing, even after we have all the lights turned off. Eventually, I tell him he will have to leave because we are closing. He just looks at me with these deadpan eyes and doesn't move. I start worrying at this point. He then asks for some food. I go get him some burgers and put them in a little bowl and give them to him. He asks why I didn't put them on buns, and I say I'm not even supposed to be giving the burgers out, so I'm definitely not going to go make you some for free. He hesitates and grabs the bowl, all the while still not wanting to leave. It was a very surreal scenario. Finally, he picked up this big duffel bag he was carrying and walked out. Keep in mind, this was a guy that was like 6'4", 250 pounds or more, with a wizard beard. Freaky thinking back on it. I forgot to mention we closed at 12. So he sat in a Dairy Queen for like 7 hours writing in a notebook.
Working at a grocery store while in high school. One of the managers, Carl, is in his 80s. He's one of those hilarious old perverts, about 5 feet tall, a former Navy badass. He was distant, bitter, and rude when I first met him. He was a broke drunk and couldn't afford to retire since he had worked at a grocery store for the past 50 years. After about a year, he one day warms up to me and we become friends. He seems much more youthful. I always end up listening to his stories. We both hate our jobs and all my co-workers don't understand why we are friends. Carl never liked any of the other teens except the hot girls. He just up and quits one day. Nobody finds this bizarre. A couple of months go by and Carl comes in and is visibly older. But for the first time, I realized that that was how he looked when I first met him. I try to catch up with him. He barely remembers my name and is generally avoidant. A couple of months pass and I asked a coworker if he had seen Carl recently. He lets me know that Carl had died soon after I saw him last. I suppose Carl's memory might have gone to shit and all, but the guy worked there for about 50 years and nobody really cared one way or another that he just left and that he died. It wasn't until after his death and reflecting on it all that it struck me that when I got to know Carl, he seemed to change, and to me only. We had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations, and I used to think that maybe there was some way his soul needed to express something to someone before he went, and it just happened to be me. But I really don't know anymore.
I had a cigar-smoking buddy when I was deployed. We would sit in these little crappy lawn chairs on top of a HESCO and watch the helicopters take off and test fire. It was a day off. I got my hair cut and picked up some things at the little shop pet. I climbed up the HESCO with my foldy chair and proceeded to get situated for cigarification. My buddy was already there, smoking a Grand Reserve on his foldy chair. We didn't really talk. We just smoked and watched the birds take off and land. I watched a Blackhawk and 2 Kiowas take off from the FARP, forward arming and refueling point together. I don't recall there being an escorted, single-hawk flight on the schedule. I'm a crew chief, by the way. I said goodnight to my cigar buddy, headed back down the HESCO, and went to sleep. I was woken up 2 hours later. There had been a fallen angel 4 hours ago outside Muqtadiya. My cigar buddy and his co-pilot died on impact. I smoked a cigar with a dead man. I still shiver every time I smell a Gurkha Grand Reserve.
Kinda long, but here I go. Working at a sub place. A new coworker comes in. She starts getting weird vibes from the place. We've all seen things get thrown off racks, sometimes feel like someone is watching you, drops in temperature. One time, a coworker got hit in the head with a bag of chips when it was just her by herself. One night, 3 of us are working. The new coworker goes into the back room. She comes out not even 5 minutes later, hysterically crying. Something is back there. It's watching me. I can feel it. She is losing her shit. Me and the other coworker head in the back. It feels beyond creepy and utterly freezing. I check the thermostat. It's 80 degrees and it's summer. Nope. 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 The girl is still freaking out. We have to call her parents. They come get her. Now it's just me and my other coworker. We start to close. I'm in the back doing dishes. All of a sudden, my coworker comes up to me. In a very zombified, out-of-it voice, she tells me I need to leave. I ask her if she's okay because she looks way out of it and is staring through me. Home. You need to go home. Now I'm really freaking out. I grab my shit and leave. As I walk out, I notice my coworker is just staring towards the back of the store. Nope. 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 About 5 minutes into my drive home, the same coworker calls me, hysterically asking where I went. I tell her she told me to go home. She said that never happened, and that all she remembers is our other coworker leaving, and then I was just gone, and she didn't know where everyone went. I drove back to the store. She is outside, crying hysterically, saying something is in there and she won't go back in. We both leave, scared out of our goddamn minds. To this day, she swears that she never told me to go home, and all she remembers is 1 minute everyone was in the store and the next, everybody was gone.
Work as a mechanic. Get told the usual bullshit horror stories. Some guy forgot to put the locking pins in a lift, and somehow managed to get pinned and crushed. How do you even do that? Apparently when you're working on your own, and you get your hand twisted and caught in a blind panic. Working on my own. Generally, you never get under a car unless there's other staff in. Putting high-value cars on lifts, so I can put other high-value cars under them. This is to store them overnight. Check everything. Getting the last car I can fit. Blood-curdling scream. Some old dude's 911 is now on the floor. Check the car. Undamaged. No sign of impact even though it apparently fell over 6 feet. I swear I put the locking pins in. Nope. Somebody must be fucking with me. Stand and admire the silence. Have to stand by the death lift and raise it again, lock it, and stow the last car. As I lock up, I swear to God there's a man standing by the lift. Let's let the auto dialer deal with that, if ghosts even trip security. Tell no one. Bet they're all laughing at me.
2 stories from my first workplace. It was a Wacky Warehouse-style children's play area. Fucking awful job. The building was a massive concrete warehouse, completely open and about 30 feet in height inside. Half was filled with the play equipment. 3 stories of slides, rope netting, ball pits, etc. The other half was an open area filled with tables for the parents to sit. The building was part of a pub, which was apparently haunted. In the back corner, on the lower floor of the play area, was a swing. It was a big rubber ball attached to a rope, attached to a pole. You jumped on the swing, and the rope slid along the pole. There is a chain in the pole, so it made a rattling noise as you went on it. No customers, hanging out by the till. Suddenly, the swing hurtles along the pole. Rattle, rattle, rattle. It smashes with extreme force into the wall. I shit 1,000 bricks. There was no way for the swing to move by itself. No wind inside, and if there had been, the tables would have blown over. I'd push kids on the swing. You needed a lot of effort to get it to go. Never mind smash it into the wall like that. Second story, locking up for the night. I have to turn off the lights, go around until it's dark, pick up the float, and lock the door. The door is glass, so you can see inside. I drop the till float off with the manager. "Anon, why haven't you turned off the lights?" I look at the security camera. The lights are all on. I knew I turned them off as I had to walk in the dark and look through the doors when locking up. "Anon, would you mind going back and turning them off?" I unlock the door. "This is a trap. Holy shit, holy shit. Whatever it is wants me back in here." I open the door. I run the fuck to the lights. I smash my hand against them and turn them off. I run the fuck back out. I lock the door and sprint away. God damn, the second one was fucking scary at the time. I saw some weird shadows and shit too. I was positive I saw for a second a leg moving on the upper floor when nobody was there. Captcha, the Gizzin, poor man's grifter.
This is decent. I'll add my own. About 3 or 4 years ago, I worked in a local liquor store just up the road from my place. The first odd thing to happen was I went out for a smoke break. It had been dead, and I'd finished all the usual shit of filling up the 6-packs and whatever in the cooler. There are only 2 doors that are in or out, and they are the public use ones. Anyways, I came back in from my break, and the girl I was working with looks at me and asks, "What the hell? How'd you get in that way?" "I just thought you were in the cooler and saw someone moving around back there." I say no, and go check the huge walk-in cooler. The store is empty aside from us. Another one a short while later had me and another girl talking at the register. The store had been busy, but had just emptied out, and we were waiting for closing to finally come around. We talked for a few minutes, then heard voices on the other side of the store between some aisles over in the wine. I got ticked off and said I'll go chase the kids out. The voices had sounded like teens. I got over there, and the place was still empty aside from the 2 of us.
B23 worked in an IT company. Those who work for IT companies know the phone displays the location of the caller inside the company. In this case, it displayed city, building, floor, office, cubicle. I was at my monthly graveyard covering shift Friday night. I spent the night watching movies. I worked a night standard. 4 a.m., the guard comes rushing to the floor. He asks if I had seen a kid running around the floor at 4 a.m. I denied seeing the kid and asked why. The guard said they saw him on the CCTV cameras running from the 3rd floor to the parking lot. The guard left, telling me to call them if I see him. Nope.720p.brrip.ave. I spent the rest of the shift covering the corners of my eyes like a fucking racing horse. Fast forward to Monday. The entire floor knows the story. The night starts with us telling ghost stories. A girl from a different department comes to hang out and asks us what we are talking about. We tell her the story of the kid. She goes white. She tells us she received a weird ass call 15 minutes ago. A kid called her And when she gave him the opening speech, he just replied, "Thank you, be good." My supervisor has the dopest idea ever. Call center goons know that all calls in an IVR get recorded. Let's listen to the call. The system shows the call at 1:32 a.m. from the 3rd floor, next building, office, and cubicle. That building was empty at that time. We listened to the call. A creepy voice as fuck. Thank you. Be good. The call is saved on a Nokia 2003 phone before SD cards. I'm still trying to find a way to pull it. One night, a cab driver took me to work. When we got there, he told me the building used to be a butter and oil factory. A big fire killed a lot of people and kids on the 3rd floor where the daycare was. Nope.xlsx.
My first job when I was young was fucking Canadian Tire. Aside from being miserable warehouse work with shit co-workers, I kept seeing things in the upper level of the warehouse. There were only 2 ways, up or down. 3, if you count the service elevator. But that thing was loud as hell, as well as slow. But at least once a week or so, I would see someone in plain clothes up there, either walking between the aisles or standing in an aisle. I tried chasing a couple of times but gave up after not being able to find them. The reason I'm positive it wasn't just someone screwing around up there was that one of the times I was right near one stairwell and I saw them going past an aisle on the opposite end, so I sprinted that way and rushed down the other stairway, which lets out right at the desk of auto parts. There were 3 guys all standing there talking, and I asked if anyone just came down. They said I was the only one that's come down that way all day, aside from them.
I used to play the organ at a very, very old Methodist church in the middle of the woods. I was given a key to the church, so I'd often go there on Saturday evenings to practice for the next morning. Some spooky things have happened. I was practicing late Saturday night. I just stopped playing the hymns when I heard a creaking noise. The heavy, heavy wooden back door of the church that no one uses anymore was open. I go to close it. There's no draft, nothing that could have opened it. It takes a lot of effort just to move the damn thing because it's so heavy. Aside from that, there were also the occasional unsettling bumps you'd always hear, so I started to bring a friend with me on Saturday nights to keep me company. I'm playing around on the organ. I hear something that sounds like a groan. I stop. I look at my friend. My friend's eyes are completely wide. It sounds like there are at least 20 people walking around inside the church, with footsteps, bumps, banging, distant chatter. We just stare at each other in silence until the noises finally fade away. Then, finally, the big one, Friday afternoon. I'm gonna be busy on Saturday, so I figure I'll just practice on Friday after school. A thunderstorm is approaching in the distance. I decided to finish up early. It gets pitch black inside the church. I figure it's just the clouds. I'm playing the last song when I hear a pop behind me. I turn around. The back door is wide open, and I can make out the silhouette of a man with a baseball cap just standing there, holding the door open. Panic. The silhouette backs away as I gather up all my things and flee the scene in less than 5 seconds, leaving the organ on, the front door open, etc. I know the church was haunted. Even the pastor agreed. She doesn't ever work there alone. And actually, as we were discussing this, the painting of one of our elders that was nailed on the wall fell down and landed a few feet from the wall, as if it was being moved.
I work at McDonald's. There are about half a dozen guys that wait in between the 2 entrance doors for us to open. About a year ago, one of them passed away. Since then, Really small but noticeable things have happened. For example, myself and another employee were setting up at the front of the store about 15 minutes before we opened when we both heard what sounded like change jingling. The guy that passed away used to tap his change or jingle it to get our attention, and a man's voice say, "Are you guys open yet?" We turned around and no one was there, but we were both confused and nervous. Another time, a bunch of stuff that was stacked on top of the freezer came crashing down. I don't see how it could have happened since no one was around it, and everything on it was flat. There have been other things, but I can't really recall them. Still quite spooky, though.
I worked at a township building where they housed the snowplows and other road maintenance equipment for varying needs. It also had a small meeting room where township supervisors would meet and discuss God knows what. I was a custodian on the weekends for some extra money. I went in one night, pretty late, because I just got out of a late college class. I key in, unlock the security keypad, reset it, lock the door, and walk down a 40-foot hallway in the dark. I get to the end of the hall, opening all the doors, turning on lights in each room as I descend down the hallway. There are only 6 doors in total, 5 offices and the meeting room. I decided to clean the bathrooms first. All goes smoothly. I go into the break room and turn on the TV for some background noise. I'm wiping floors down the hallway when I hear a smash of glass. Only one door has glass on it, and that is the front door where people walk in to sign in to talk to the township supervisor. I go investigate. The glass is smashed outwards from the door, as if something inside the building smashed it. I open the door, sweep up the glass, and throw it away. I go back to the door and put cardboard on it as a makeshift cover. I duct tape it to the outside of the door to avoid cutting myself. I call my boss and explain that somebody must have come by and smashed it in. He says, "Don't worry about it. Just go home." I start to leave. As I'm driving past, the cardboard is dangling by one corner of duct tape. Jesus Christ. I pull into a parking stall and try to just reassemble the tape back on. The tape is gone, save the dangling corner. A gaping black void stares at me from the inside of the building. Nope. I'm not sitting here trying to fix this. I go home. I don't even give a flying fuck about that door anymore.
There was a period of time when I was homeless. On weekdays, to get food and wash my clothing, I volunteered, although a lot of the local transients who also came to this place personally requested that I be there to cook meals for everyone who would show up that day. One day, one of the locals got drunk and broke in over the weekend. He was so plastered, he didn't realize the window he'd broken had severely wounded him. He lay down on the couch in the middle of the lounge and fell asleep. Needless to say, the dude died. When I arrived with the caretakers on Monday morning, there was a stench you wouldn't believe, like booze, old blood, diabetic farts. Thank you, Uncle L, for providing me with this point of reference, and other rotting shit. Of course, I couldn't do laundry that day. The next day, everything was as close to as it was as could possibly be expected. The couch was gone, the window was taped over, and the floor had been scrubbed as clean as it could be. Unfortunately, there was a very large black stain on the wood tile where the couch used to be, and there was still a hint of the smell lingering in the air. We opened the doors while eating, so we couldn't smell it. I remember I made a large salad with fresh tomatoes, some dried cranberries, and sliced almonds. People donate the weirdest shit sometimes. Lamb chops roasted in sun-dried tomatoes, garlic mashed potatoes, and some iced tea. We're enjoying our brunch when shit gets a little too real. By the fireplace, which is positioned about 3 feet in front of where the couch used to be, There's a shelf with some old donated books on it. On the mantel, there are thank you notes and inspirational garbage decorating it to make it look a bit more homey. We're all carrying on, eating. I was busy blushing because the men present were commenting that they'd never eat a salad I hadn't made when everything on top of the mantel is shoved off towards the shelf and the shelf topples over. Dead silence. We continue to eat that way. As we're finishing, some knocking begins on the wall next to the dining table. There's no pattern. It's random and a little faint. Everyone there is in that room helping to clean up. Nobody mentions it. We all pretend it isn't happening. I never went back, but it didn't matter anyway. The place, sadly, shut down for good within a month.
I work at the Salvation Army. I had been there for several months by this point. The big storage room in the back used to be a mess. Nearly a quarter of it had been blocked off by empty boxes and stuff. This girl I'm friends with worked in the back room. Her and the other girl who worked there kept having these coughing fits. They asked the manager if she would have the janitors clean it for them. The manager told them if they wanted it cleaned, they'd have to do it themselves. So that Saturday, the two girls started cleaning the back room. I came in on Monday, and they asked me to help clear up some of the boxes and shit. We found an odd little empty patch behind all the boxes. No junk or anything. On the floor, there was a sizable splotch of what looked like congealed blood. We later found some more splotches like that. Logic would dictate it was probably from a rat, but we never found any rat droppings, nests, or bones. A week later, my friend got fired on a blatantly made-up offense. The other girl quit less than a week later. I got told I was spending too much time in the back room. The next week, some Indian from headquarters came down and started firing people, imposing draconian rules, and changing everyone's schedules. My manager resigned 2 weeks later. I'm not implying this was some vast conspiracy in the Salvation Army. The changes in management were caused by the ridiculous firing of my friend, who my boss's bosses plainly saw. There was something fishy going on with my boss. Rumor has it they found out she was stealing shit and forced her to resign. Still though, I want to know what that disgusting blood-like stuff was, and why it seems like my old manager didn't want people going near it.
I work at an art school. I become bros with this older dude, an artist and a real nice fella. We're at a fancy dress party. He's dressed kinda like a Laurel and Hardy character. Bowler hat, cane, etc. I still have very vivid and fond memories of this specific night with him. 4 days later, he's dead. Heart attack. Skip ahead 2 years. I'm walking the busy streets with my head down, my music on, paying no heed to the world. I look upwards for whatever reason, and immediately spot him there, in his hat, cane, and old-fashioned suit, leaning on a lamppost, looking straight at me. Everything seems to slow down and blur out, but I'm running at full speed towards him. I almost get run down by a truck, but spot it just in time. When the truck passes, I look at the lamppost. He's gone. Skip ahead another year. I'm walking again, alone. It's late and dark. I check my watch, and as I lower it, I catch a glimpse of a man in the same attire. He's pretty much just a shadow in the distance, but I see that bowler hat and cane, and there's no way anyone would randomly wear that in these times, this late in the middle of the night. He seems to look my way and then turn to walk down an alley. I get to the alleyway and look down it. As expected, there's nothing and no one there.
I work in a pub, which is part of a big chain here in the UK. This story happened in one of those pubs, not mine. A happy chappy is taking a piss in the urinals. He's looking down into the urinal and notices that the bottom is missing. No urinal cake or drain, just a hole. As he looks into the hole, an eye pops into view and stares around the urinal and then up at him. The happy Chappy freaks the fuck out and runs out to find the pub manager. The pub manager escorts the happy Chappy to the room behind the gents' toilets, where we keep a lot of cleaning materials and where the tanks and pipes for the urinals are. Just outside the door, the two guys realize the floor is covered in water and everything stinks to high heaven. As they open the door, a naked man soaked from head to toe barrels through them and runs out of the pub, never to be seen again. Upon inspection of the room, the said man has removed the piping and dug a hole out under the urinal where he laid back and placed his head and face underneath. That wasn't water. The room and the hallway were flooding with piss. Not exactly paranormal, but disturbing.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.